to crash your application to know that crash, or to see that crash is likely possible.
Cool. Anybody over here got a good example of a differentiation? Yeah.
We provide a curated list of real happy hours instead of finding a happy hour that might be out of date, or you have to figure out for 5 minutes to find it.
Yeah. Really quickly then, just through the journey points, which is when we're going to get into tactics. So, to summarize, we talked about your purpose, what you're doing, who your core customer might be, what value you're providing to them, and why that value is different. All of that can sound great, but if you don't reach your customers when they are in the right frame of mind to make that decision to use your product, it's kind of pointless, right? Like if I'm, right now, you guys and your product makes immediate sense to me because I am in the consideration stage. I need your product. I am not a makeup user. So I'm not even in the awareness stage. Like I'm just sort of getting to understand what's happening. So there are a lot of different ways to think through the decision-making process for marketing, which is what we typically call the customer journey. The customer journey that I've laid out here, it's a 5-step one. There are 3 steps, 10 steps. The one that we use for our product right now at Meet Mindful has like 57 different ways that you can move through and end up at different conversion points for us. So this is super rudimentary, but I think it's going to be useful. Just to give a quick definition, awareness. Right now, before I got here, I had no idea about any of your products because I haven't been marketed to at all about any of them. Awareness is that first step. Awareness is often radio, TV, it could be SEO, it's going to be Facebook ads and banners that just show up because I'm the kind of person that would want to see those banners. The goal of a marketing campaign in the awareness stage is just to get someone to know that you exist. So that if you show something to them enough times, they might say, oh shit, yeah, I remember there's that thing that does that thing. I have no idea what the name of it is. I couldn't tell you what the names of any of your products are right now, but I at least know that they exist. Does that make sense? Questions on the awareness side? The first challenge is making your customer aware that you exist. The second is discovery, is getting them to be aware enough to want to learn about what you're doing. I am super curious to know more about what your product is because I still don't quite know what it is. I am not super curious about your makeup product because I have no use for it at the moment. But that's just me. Other customers might. So things that are useful in the discovery stage. If you can get someone to sign up for an email and do lead gen on them, you can put marketing material in front of them so that they can learn more about you. This can be outbound or inbound. Outbound being I'm pushing things out to the world that's information to hear more about the product. It's not the Super Bowl, like soft, fuzzy Super Bowl commercial ad that has a lot of emotion. It's the ad, it's the infomercial. It's the here's what my product is, learn more about it by talking to us here. So that's outbound. Inbound is SEO, where I might be looking for something, and I click on your link to learn more about it. Does that make sense? Questions there? Nope. Okay. Consideration. I'm aware of your product, I've learned a little bit about it, and I'm starting to think that it might solve my problem. Key to that is in that discovery stage, you want to communicate the fact that you're solving a problem for me. But as I'm considering it, I'm closer and closer and closer to making a decision. So in the timely example of this QA thing, and I don't mean to be focusing on you, but it might be one of my biases. I'm aware that you exist. I know a little bit about you. in order for me to really be in the consideration stage, I need to know how much it's going to cost me, X, Y, Z, what it's actually going to do. I'm not at that stage yet. Conversion, obviously, moment of truth. I've decided that this is valuable enough for me to buy or use. Sometimes the money that somebody pays or buys isn't actually as important as them just downloading your app or using your product. In my world, Tinder. I know that Tinder exists because everybody I know talks about it. That's the awareness stage. Discovery. I could go and, read reviews of Tinder. I could, talk to my friends that are using it. Consideration. I'm actually in the App Store looking for it, reading those reviews. That conversion point is me downloading it and setting up a profile. Does that make sense? Retention is me coming back and using the thing multiple times. So depending on whether or not you're just a single serve product or a subscription service, retention can be a little bit different. Retention in my world is how long after you signed up before you cancel. Can I get you to stick around longer? Online dating is a weird example of that because if I do my job perfectly well, I lose all my customers immediately. Because they sign up, they find their soulmate, and they leave. They don't pay me. In reality, they keep coming back because in the harshest of terms, relationships don't last most of the time. That's now on tape. Shit. Okay, so it's important to think about how to keep your customers though. So if you're just, if you're Amazon, giving great customer service is a marketing tactic for retention because now every time that I have an issue and I know I could go to Amazon where there's great customer service or not, depending on what you buy. Zappos is a great example that's used a lot. They have awesome customer service. Everybody who buys there often just keeps recurring purchases happening there. Gmail, use an example from earlier. Gmail as a product is something that's easy to use and so easy that you never have any flags that make you want to go to another email client. As a marketer and non-technical person, that's at least my view of it. Apple and the iOS system in general, for most of the population, it's simple enough and they become recurring customers because it's simple, it's easy to use, it solves their need, and it doesn't put up any roadblocks for them leaving. Questions on these steps? Yeah?
What was the difference between awareness and discovery again?
Awareness is just broad, like I am out there in the world. It's, someone being vaguely aware that you exist. Discovery is there's enough of a hook there that they're interested in learning more.
Passive versus active.
Passive versus active is a great way to put it. These can also be combined into multiple steps, or you can jump over some of these. From the Tinder example that I gave, awareness to conversion is real quick for most people because they go, oh, it's an online dating app and everybody's doing it, so download, sign up, go. It might have a really low retention rate because of that. Because people aren't necessarily doing the research into it before realizing that it's not the product for them, so they'll convert but not stick around long enough. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Can you guys see how this might apply to your product? So the actual assignment is to use the first half of this sheet and come up with a couple of potential campaigns or ways to talk to your potential customers that hit them at different points in this funnel. So for me, I use Facebook ads as awareness, discovery, and consideration. It's a multiple shot deal for me. I can put a Facebook ad out there, and if you're not looking for an online dating site or an app, I'll spam you enough times so that you're vaguely aware that I exist. That same ad and same campaign for someone who is interested in signing up for my service or a service will see that ad, and in the same moment, they're in the discovery and consideration stage. They're interested, they're going to click through, they're going to learn more about me. Facebook ads is a very, very popular way to get to a lot of potential customers. It may not be the ideal channel for you. What you said earlier about coaches and talking to them, like interacting with those customers from the bottom up, how you get in front of those customers is going to be potentially challenging, because you have to go find either the schools or get in front of them in another way that isn't just spamming them on display ads.
Right.
It's going to, your point about SEO earlier, they're probably going to be someone who's looking for that.
Exactly.
So they're already aware and just need to become aware of your product. Questions about this stuff? No? Okay. On the back here, there's a really awesome book, if you're curious. The Amazon link at the bottom, it's called Traction. It is written by one of the founders of DuckDuckGo. Don't discredit it because of that. The old, like, non-competitor to Google in terms of search. But they lay out a really good thought process of using different actual marketing channels to see where you're going to get the greatest impact from either time or energy or money spent. So this list of 20 channels, 20 different potential tactics that you could use to get in front of your customer. You could use online ads, SEO, social, email marketing, public relations stories, all sorts of different ways that you can get in front of customers or have them notice that you exist. It's not an exhaustive list. The biggest thing about this is that they recommend starting with a few of them that you think might have high impact. So when you guys are out trying to market your ski run app and you're trying to get the actual ski resorts to be involved, what's the most effective way that you can get in front of those ski resort decision makers? It's probably not going to be social media. It's probably going to be more traditional business development, going and making those deals, which is completely different from the way that the couple of different happy hour and bar apps in here are going to activate their customers. So the channel is super important. How you test that channel, how can you quickly learn that something's working or not? You guys are running through iterations in terms of development. We do the same thing in marketing. It's how quickly can we get real results back? How quickly can we get this out in the world so that we can learn from it and make it better the next time? I A/B test about 45 different images on Facebook every day. The next day they could be totally different. Trying to find the ideal combination for the ideal customer of where, what hits them the strongest at the right time. Make sense? Anybody have any channel-specific questions that they're curious about? We have about 15 minutes left. I want to make sure that I'm answering any deeper level questions about particular channels. Yeah.
So our question is about viral marketing.
Yeah.
Specifically how to start something like that.
Yeah, good luck with that. So you guys have been in class with Zach. One of the things that I love about Zach is always asking why. So for you and your curiosity about viral marketing, what's the why behind that?
The why is when you have a platform which is loosely a social network.
Yep.
It's a chicken and egg problem.
Yep.
So you need at least 10% population of your target market to really get the benefit.
And a viral campaign might be a way to increase that volume. Right. So creating virality so that people actually take action or sign up for your platform is going to be the biggest challenge, because you can have a really, really viral thing happen. Viral meaning it's shared at an exponential rate by people who are not you. I honestly don't know. To be completely transparent, We haven't cracked the virality thing, and anytime we've tried to do something viral or to generate viral activity, it's been very engaging, and it can be really helpful in the awareness stage that we were talking about. But my world right now is completely focused on the conversion step. So if you're willing to give up that or lessen the grip on actual conversion, which to me sounds like someone signing up for your product, and you can find something that's super viral or interesting or out of the box that can be shared by a bunch of people, it can be a really useful awareness tactic. What that is content-wise, I don't actually have a great answer for it.
Yeah, from what I've seen, most viral campaigns try to incite some form of controversy. But I'd rather steer away from political controversy, so that's kind of the issue right there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, a great point. We are, we have 70% women on our site and 30% men, which is the opposite of every other dating site in the market. It's one of our differentiators. I could get a really awesome viral campaign by saying, hey, dudes, all of these single women who do yoga every day exist over here. All you have to do is sign up. It's going to generate a lot of activity for us. It's going to generate the wrong activity because I'm not going to get my ideal customer that way. Yeah.
Going off of that, at what point does ethics and kind of like go off the deep end for marketing, and when should that be used and when shouldn't it be used?
In my opinion, as soon as you start edging towards not providing value for your customers, that's a really good flag of when you might be doing something that's a little bit sketchy. From a traditional business standpoint, you know, if I'm a for-profit, publicly traded company, the purpose of a lot of those companies is to maximize shareholder value or give back money to their investors at the highest rate. And if you forget, or if you're just going after money, or just trying to make as much impact as possible, or be as famous as possible, you might lose sight of what value you're actually providing for your customer. In that example, it doesn't feel great to me to advertise that because I know at the end of the day it generates something negative for my customer. Okay. And that's where I start to lose that ethical nature. Obviously there's the legal stuff, and like you can't go out and promise something that doesn't actually exist. But from an ethical standpoint, I start with, is everything I'm doing true to my purpose? And is everything I'm doing still trying to provide the most value I can to my customer?
Makes sense.
Other questions on particular channels? Yeah.
I guess kind of an extension to that, one channel that I've considered, which might be bordering on that line, is downloading App Store apps from the Google Play Store, crashing them, and then emailing the owners about, hey, we found this bug, we'd like to sell it and sell the details to you. I don't know, what do you think of that?
Well, it's an idea. It's a pretty common thing.
Okay.
That we run into of, hey, we noticed that you aren't being shown on the top level of Google search, let us help you out. Or, hey, we noticed that there's a bug in your app, pay us.
Do you actually get that sort of thing?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
So it happens, it feels really, really bad as the customer to have somebody point out what's wrong and then charge you money to fix it. Obviously, you know, there are companies like Google, for example, that will often reward people for finding the bugs and for surfacing those things, particularly if it's sensitive information, right? From a consumer app standpoint, it's helpful to know often when just off the cuff, like if somebody downloads, crashes my app, and then says, hey, there's something fucked up with your technology, let me fix it for you, but pay me first. Without knowing exactly what's wrong with it, I'm not even going to entertain that conversation.
Okay.
Me, at least. But I also have higher confidence in our tech, than, you know, you being able to point out, without telling me what's wrong, what is actually wrong. Yeah.
What about if we don't ask to fix it and we just